Hello and welcome. In this lesson, you'll be learning how to use TypeScript in a project, how to transpile TypeScript code to native JavaScript code, and how to create custom Node scripts. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we want to generate a new npm package.json file, and to do that, we're going to type in npm init. This is going to walk you through a little wizard that's going to have you set up a package.json file. For the package name, we can leave it as the default. For the version, we'll leave it as the default. For the description, we're going to leave it as the default. And for the entry point, default. For the test command, we're just going to leave it blank. And then get repository, we're going to leave it blank. And then keywords, we'll leave it blank also. And then for the author, you'll just want to enter in your name. And so in this case, I'll say Richard Crasso. And then we'll just select MIT for the license. And then it's just going to ask you whether or not to confirm what you have created. And I'm just going to say yes. Now, if I do an ls in the directory, I'm going to see that package.json file. With the package.json file created, I can go ahead and install my TypeScript dependencies. So I'm going to say npm install, and then -d, and I'll say TypeScript, tslint, and then @types, and then I'll say node. Once those dependencies have been created, I'm going to go ahead and run mpx. Now, this is not to be confused with npm. We actually want to type in mpx tsc --init. And now if you do an ls again, we're going to see that it created a tsconfig.json file. So now let's go ahead and open up the solution. So if I open up the tsconfig.json file, this is going to be our actual configuration for the TypeScript transpiler that we're going to be working with in this exercise. So what I'm looking for is I want to look for the distribution. So where's the actual directory going to be for whatever I transpile? And so I'm looking for the out directory here. And I'm just going to uncomment this out. And I just want to say dist. So I'm going to say dist. And this means that when the TypeScript code is transpiled, it's going to be transpiled into native JavaScript code in this dist directory, which it'll create if it doesn't already exist. So the next thing I want to do is I want to uncomment out the lib section, and I want to add an entry. So I'm going to say ES2015. And now I also want to find the module resolution and uncomment that out because we're going to be using module resolution for Node. And I just hit save. Now I'm going to open up a terminal window. And I want to generate a new tslint file. And to do that, I'm going to leverage the pre-installed tslint that I have for this local project. So I'm going to say node_modules. And then I'm looking for the .bin directory. And then I'm looking for tslint. And I'm just going to say --init. With that command ran, you're going to notice in the left-hand corner, now I have a new file called tslint.json. And that's just going to give us some linting for the code we're writing in TypeScript. So I can go ahead and close that out. I'll close out the tsconfig.json file. And now we can actually start building out our application. So first thing I want to do is I want to go into the package.json file, and I want to add a script. And this script is going to allow us to transpile our TypeScript code into JavaScript code. So above the test entry, I'm going to add a new entry, and I'm going to say person class. And then I'm just going to say tsc and node dst person.class.js. Now, basically what I'm saying is that I've created a new script command. So when I type in npm run person-class, it's going to run this command that's in the double quotes here. So it's going to run the TypeScript transpiler, and then it's going to run node to look in the distribution directory for the person.class.js file. And so that's going to be the transpiled TypeScript code into JavaScript code. So let's go ahead and save it. We'll close out this window. And now we're going to create a new file. So we'll say new file, and we want to name this file person.interface.ts. This is going to be a TypeScript interface, so we're going to want to say export interface, and we're going to call it iPerson. Inside the body of this interface, we're going to have two fields. We're going to have one called first name, and that's going to be a string. And then we're going to have one called last name, and that's also going to be a string. So I'll save it. Now let's go ahead and create another file to implement this interface that we just created. So we'll say new file, and in this one we're going to call person.class.ts. Now this one is going to need to import over the interface we just created. So I'm going to say import, opening closing brace, iPerson, and I'm just going to say I'm going to tell Node where to look for that import at. So I'm going to say double quotes, /, and then we're looking for person interface. Now we'll go ahead and start creating the class. So I'll say class person implements, because this is an interface, so we need to implement the interface, iPerson. Inside the body of this, we're going to have first name of a string. We're going to have last name of a string. And then we're going to create a constructor. In the body of in the parameters of the constructor, we're going to say first name of string, last name of string. And then we're going to say in the body of it, this dot first name equals first name, and this dot last name equals last name. Okay, with our class created that's implementing our iPerson interface, we can go ahead and test this out. So to test it out, we're going to create a new person object. So I'm going to say let my name equal new person. Now if you look inside the IntelliSense, it's going to tell you we need a first name value and a last name value to be passed into this new person object. So I'm going to pass in Richard and then Crasso. Once I have the person object created, I'm going to go ahead and just output it to the console window. So I'll say console.log, and then we'll use back quotes. We'll say my name is my name dot first name, and then my name dot last name. Okay, so what do? We created an interface, first name, last name fields. We exported it so we could have access to that interface in another file. That other file we created was called person.class.ts. We imported over the iPerson interface. We created two fields and a constructor where we had two parameters, first name and last name parameters. Because we implement the iPerson interface, we are forced to implement those two fields, which are first name and last name. Once we created our class, we went ahead and created instantiated a new person object with two fields, Richard and Crasso. Once I had the new person object created, I went ahead and used a console.log to say my name is. I referenced the first name field, and then I referenced the last name field. So everything looks great, so let's go ahead and try to run this application. So we'll go to the terminal window. We'll say new terminal. And if you remember that command that we wrote inside the package.json file, we said person class. So I can actually say npm run person class. Now, if you noticed, the output says my name is Richard Crasso, but also pay close attention to this dist directory that was created. Once the transpiler transpiled our code down, as you can see, it created two JavaScript files, a personclass.js file and a person.interface.js file, which makes sense. That was the two TypeScript files that were transpiled out. To recap, in this lesson we learned how to generate a new package.json file, how to generate a tsconfig.json file, how to generate a tslint.json file, and how to integrate TypeScript into a project. In our next lesson you'll be learning about Angular components and routing. Thank you for watching.